UFC 267. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Absolute fire card. I cannot wait to go through and break it down. Smash that like button, guys. I need at least 200 likes on this UFC 267 breakdown. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Turn those post notifications on too. Super excited because we have this week absolute fire card, and then next weekend absolute fire card after that. Two amazing cards to break down in a row. So let's get into this one. I'm super excited, as you guys can tell. First fight of the night, down at the bottom, Tagir Ulanbekov versus Allan Nascimento. I have Ulanbekov here, and for, I feel like, pretty good reasons. You look at Nascimento, he has a Contender Series fight. He fought Paiva. He lost a split decision 3 years ago. He came back 2 months ago. He caught a nice submission win. Now you look at the skill set of Tagir Ulanbekov, smooth striker, should be unbeaten. That loss to Zalgas was controversial. He's got a nice jab, and he's got very good patient pressure as well, and he'll mix in the takedowns. The wrestling game is solid. The top control is fantastic. Nascimento on the other side, the Paiva fight, he didn't look bad. He lost a split decision there. He's a guy that has a Thai-esque style of striking. Now, I feel like there's a lot of hit abilities for him down the center line. I feel like potentially will be exposed a bit by Ulanbekov, but it's not like Ulanbekov isn't a guy that gets hit too. Ulanbekov's going to look to take this fight to the floor for sure. I think he's going to mix in the wrestling well. Good submission game by Nascimento, but when you're dealing with these Russian fighters with the OV at the end especially, their top pressure is a different level. I don't think Nascimento's jiu-jitsu will have a likely factor. I think it's minimal likelihood that he'd be able to really fend off any even near attempts off his back for submissions. Ulanbekov is going to run him over. I think decision, but I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if he did get a finish. But more likely, we're looking at decision for Tagir Ulanbekov. Looking at the betting lines, though, minus 350 to plus 285. Minus 305 best value, so that's a decent bet. But the odds are widespread for this fight, and deservingly so. I got Ulanbekov getting it done. He will win this bout. Decision. Let's keep on moving up the card. The next one, Damir Ismagulov versus Magomed Mustafaev. I have Damir Ismagulov here, but it's not an easy fight. Magomed's been in the UFC for some time, some delays, taking long layoffs. You look, he fought Kevin Lee 4 years ago, nearly 5 years ago. He lost that fight. Comes back, knocks out Rafael Fiziev, who's now a good top 15 guy in the lightweight division, and then he has a split decision loss to Brad Riddell nearly 2 years ago. The wrestling game for Mustafaev is going to be tricky to deal with for Ismagulov, but Ismagulov on the opposite side, he's going to be better defensively. I think striking-wise, Ismagulov has the advantage, though Magomed's explosive. He's a guy that does have power in his hands. I would say decent stand-up game, though Ismagulov more technical for sure, controls range better. If they start wrestling, I feel like Mustafaev could be effective first round, but you're working towards second and third. The technique of Ismagulov, I think, is the differential here. It is the true factor. He's better. He's more technical, a little bit taller here, and I think he's got a better gas tank, even though, Ismagulov could potentially be worn out with a super high-paced wrestling fight against Magomed. Both guys dropped in their last fight, interestingly enough. But Ismagulov, he gets the win here. I see him pulling it off, and I do think he wins this bout by a decision. I don't see him getting his first UFC finish. It's not an easy fight, and Mustafaev is a real underdog that's coming to fight here. Look at the odds, minus 245 to plus 241. Those are best value for both. If you remember Ismagulov's last fight, he was absolutely a lot farther widespread. Granted, Alv's not as high level of a guy, but Ismagulov is a real animal. And Mustafaev, I think, should be closer. I think it could be, more like a 2-to-1 odds here, but a little bit more widespread than that. I would even like to see a minus 150. To be honest, if you can find Ismagulov minus 150 anywhere, throw down immediately. But I do think decision win, Damir Ismagulov over Magomed Mustafaev. Let's get to the next fight on the card. Yaozong and Andrei Petroski. I'm going with the underdog. I think that who could potentially surprise Petroski here. Now, you look at the side of Petroski, goes on the Ultimate Fighter, win and a loss there, but not terrible performances. Comes in the UFC. He gets a finish against Michael Gilmore. Gilmore didn't do great on the show. Yaozong, who on the opposite side hasn't fought in years. It's been what? Almost 3 years. He fought Rashad Coulter. He lost that fight by a decision. Showed a good chin. That was up a weight class too, and Coulter missed weight. Also has a loss at heavyweight. That was against Cyril Asker nearly 4 years ago. This is a middleweight fight. Hugh is 6'3", Petroski 6 foot. Hugh has a Greco-Roman wrestling background that I think a lot of people are going to forget about here. I mean, I don't know, not complete disrespect on the lines, but if you look at the value of the odds here, I mean, he is upwards of nearly plus 200. I think Yaozong Hugh is a fantastic underdog because stylistically it's a good matchup. Petrovski's going to start gassing out. He gets tired towards the end of the second. Hugh has good wrestling. He should be able to stop Petrovski's attack. If you're talking about striking, Hugh has a good game with his stand-up. Petrovski does have a power advantage, but Hugh durable. If you can take shots up weight classes, I think he's going to be able to handle Petrovski here. I think third round TKO Yaozong Hugh over Andrei Petrovski. Let's keep on moving up the card. Mr. Finland, Makwan Amirkhani versus Lerone Murphy. I'm on Lerone Murphy all day here. Makwan Amirkhani is, I don't know, a guy that I always feel like let down. That's what I've always thought of Amirkhani. Maybe I had my expectations too high earlier on throughout his career, but he gasses all the time. Third round, he's exhausted. He's just a good wrestling game. And his jiu-jitsu, very good as well. One of those SBG Ireland guys, has that little cocky aura about him, but 16-6, he can't be that arrogant at this point. Lerone Murphy on the opposite side is a beast with the stand-up. Excellent kickboxing. He fights out of the southpaw stance, as does Makwan, which southpaw versus southpaw is always interesting to watch. Lerone Murphy is a superior striker, though, by a good margin. I think he's going to put it on Makwan. He will have to deal with takedown attempts. I think the straight punches of Murphy will be a real factor. I think he lands a big straight left hand, hurts Makwan. Third round stoppage, especially Makwan probably is going to be gassed out by round number 3. Lerone Murphy for the win here. Now let's check out the odds. Minus 305, plus 274. There's no hope on Makwan Amirkhani with the lines. His best shot would be some type of wild submission, but I think the 10-0-1 Lerone Murphy. Let's not forget, he draws Tukhugov, and he did get taken down a few times, but his wrestling game should withhold here, and he should stop a tired Makwan Amirkhani. Let's keep on moving up this stacked card. And if you haven't smashed that damn like button, much love to everybody tuning into the show. Michael Oleksiejczuk versus Shamil Gamzatov. So Gamzatov didn't really impress me much going back watching him, but he's 14-0. The record's good. I have Oleksiejczuk on the other side winning this fight. Oleksiejczuk is a tricky southpaw. And you look at the last fight, Shamil had a hard time with Klidson Abreu striking, who's a southpaw. Oleksiejczuk's faster for sure. He's got a good combination punching. He's a pretty slick boxer, and he has a lot of forward pressure. Now, Shamil is going to hold his ground well, but can he mix it up with the hands at the level of Oleksiejczuk? I don't believe he will. I feel like wrestling-wise, Shamil has an advantage, but it's not like Oleksiejczuk's a guy that gets taken down all the time. I think that he has decent takedown defense, decent enough to deal with Shamil, who doesn't necessarily set up his shots fantastically. You know, if Shamil's striking game was better, and then he has that wrestling edge slightly over Oleksiejczuk, that's a factor. Then, you know, maybe we're looking at Shamil getting it done. But I think Oleksiejczuk gets a victory here. Now, it's hard to say the guy that's unbeaten is going to be stopped, especially, I mean, it's not like Oleksiejczuk's knocking everybody out, but he does have a few KO wins earlier on in his UFC career. I think Oleksiejczuk, he gets a decision win, but I wouldn't be surprised if somehow he did land a good counter shot and knock Shamil out. The odds for this fight, Oleksiejczuk plus 136, Shamil Gamzatov minus 147. I like that plus money. I'm going with the underdog, Michael Oleksiejczuk. Good fight, man. This undercard is fantastic. Elizeu, Zaleski, Benoit Saint-Denis. I have the OG Zaleski here, but let's not sleep on Benoit Saint-Denis because he's an animal on the ground. Super fast level changes. He's dominant from the top position, has a nasty submission game. I believe he hasn't been training like super long, does come from a judo background, but just recently, really made that transition to professional martial arts. It was in 2019. Yeah, so super recently, which is not a long time to be fighting. When you look at Zaleski on the opposite side, I mean, he's been in the UFC since 2015. He's been fighting since 2009, so a decade more of pro experience. And it's not like Zaleski is out of his prime. I mean, lost to Salikov, he had him hurt, and Salikov is an animal striking. Zaleski's stand-up game is nasty. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Yes, Benoit is good, and there is great potential with this kid. I'm going to keep my eye on him, but I think he gets knocked out in the second round by Elizeu Zaleski, and I think we got a damn good fight coming at us. Minus 220, plus 189. I like that minus 220 favorite. Keep your eye on this prospect, but not yet. This is way too much of a jump too early here. Zaleski, he gets it done. And also, I think Zaleski's one of the last men to beat Sean Strickland. I mean, this guy can definitely stand up with the best of them. And if he stops the takedown, or if he even attacks off the ground, he's getting Saint-Denis out. Second round knockout. Zaleski. Let's keep on moving up the card. Albert Duraev versus Roman Kopylov. I got Duraev here. He just fought recently. It was a month ago against KO Bittencourt. Ran him over on the Contender Series. You see, submission loss 2 years ago to Carl Roberson. I'm not trying to say that having a loss to Carl Roberson's bad, but he's not necessarily a great grappler. This is a guy from a pro striking background. And then you have Duraev on the opposite side, who is an animal of a wrestler. He has that Khamzat-esque style on the ground. Dominating wrestlers, super physically strong, persistent ground and pound. They have a similar aura about them. I think Duraev has real star potential. I think he wins here. I think he's going to run through Roman Kopylov. Russia versus Russia battle. But I got to go with Duraev. And I do think he will get a submission. And I think it will be in the first round here. Could see it in the second as well. I think he gets the fight to the floor. Peppers the ground and pound, starts beating up Kopylov, and then sinks in the choke, taps him out. I look at Kopylov, I'm thinking, Kopylov, he's a young guy, 8-1, he's like 24. You look, he's 30 years old. He's just got the baby face here. Duraev and him are only 2 years apart. Duraev, he's running him over here, and it's going to be first round submission. Could see a TKO as well. Definitely a stoppage for Duraev. Minus 260. Plus 252. I like the minus 260. We'll go with the minus 260 for sure. Lock Duraev victory here. Let's keep on moving. Zubaira Tukhugov versus Ricardo Ramos. I got Tukhugov here. I think that Ramos is a real good prospect, but some real technical IQ mistakes. You look at fights, he's doing like a behind the lead leg kick to the legs. It's just awkward stuff. Good though. He's athletic. He's explosive. He's got a rangy style. He's got a reach advantage of 4 inches here. Tukhugov, though, closes distance pretty well. He's got fast hands. Wrestling-wise, he is an animal. Proven stamina. I feel like Ramos can potentially break here. Common opponent, Lerone Murphy, draw Tukhugov, which landed a lot of takedowns there, but we'll not get into that one. Ramos got ran over when he fought Lerone Murphy. I think Tukhugov puts it on him. I think it's going to be a high-paced fight from the start. Ramos may have his moment striking. I do see him getting taken down. I see Tukhugov wearing him down and stopping him. TKO round number 2, Zubaira Tukhugov, but I wouldn't be shocked if he kept up a high rate and a high pace throughout 3 rounds and we see Tukhugov win by decision. But it's a Tukhugov win here, and I'm pretty certain about that. Odds, minus 157, plus 149. I'm going with that minus 157 tag, minus 165, around that range. Tukhugov for the win over Ricardo Ramos. But I still like Ramos as a prospect, but just not against Tukhugov. Now, featured prelim. Amanda Ribas versus Verna Jandiroba. I really like this fight. I'm going with Verna here for the upset because of, I think, her superior striking game. And I feel like Ribas, how long ago was it? 9 months ago? She got knocked out bad versus Rodriguez. And Jandiroba, she's going to put a high pace. She's going to start fast with her hands. She's going to let them fly. She's got awkward wide hooks. Ribas on the opposite side, pretty tight technical kickboxing, but not extremely offensive. She's moving around a lot to, make it seem like she's throwing a lot of strikes, but she's not going to be. On the ground, maybe Ribas is the better pure jiu-jitsu specialist, but it's not like Jandiroba is not high level. She's excellent with her grappling as well. Common opponents, yeah, we do have the Dern fight. Ribas beat Dern. Jandudoba lost to Dern, but MMA math doesn't work. I mean, the way Rodriguez ran over Hebas versus a competitive fight with Dern, it doesn't work. I have Jandudoba. She wins, and I do think decision. We're going 3 rounds. I think if it's striking, she's got a real advantage here. She makes it dirty, she makes it nasty, and she beats Amanda Hebas. Now, the odds for that, plus 125 to minus 133. I like that plus money. You can even find plus 140. So I like plus money. We're going Jandudoba at the plus money, getting it done here. And I see victory for her. And I feel like the grappling will be interesting because it could potentially cancel each other out. All right, let's jump to the next fight of the night. Magomed Ankalaev versus Volkan Oezdemir. I have Magomed, and I'm really pumped to see these light heavyweights, high-level guys. Looking at the style of Oezdemir, I mean, this is a former title challenger. He fought against Daniel Cormier, lost against Anthony Smith, controversial loss to Dominic Reyes, recent loss to Jiří Procházka, also has a win over Alexander Rakic. I mean, Volkan Oezdemir has fought a who's who. He's a real knockout striker, heavy-handed, fast starter. He's got like that weird power. It's just from like an inch and he's knocking you out. And Ankalaev on the opposite side, though, a bit more well-rounded. That's really why he has my pick here. He's stance switching so he can fight competently out of both stances. His stand-up game is very good. He's not a one-dimensional Dagestani, but he can definitely bring in the wrestling. He can put you on your back. He can control you from the top position. He fought against Nikita Krylov, and he won like an impressive performance after losing the first round. Sitting there and mixing it up on the feet for 3 rounds with Oezdemir, he definitely could get in real trouble because the touch from Oezdemir puts you down. And Ankalaev, I don't know if he'd be able to fully withstand that, but I don't think he's going to just sit there and trade. I think he's going to be mixing in takedowns, making Oezdemir think. I think he gets him to the ground. I think he lets some ground and pound go. I think we could look at Ankalaev potentially getting a late TKO finish of Volkan Oezdemir here, but I could also see decision. So I'm kind of seeing both late finish or decision. I'm liking Ankalaev, though. Looking at the odds, minus 300 best value, plus 289. I like minus 300. Magomed Ankalaev, he should run Volkan Oezdemir over here with the wrestling. But if the touch lands for Volkan, this might be a quick fight because Magomed Ankalaev, obviously, he takes a decent shot, but you can't take shots from Oezdemir very much. I mean, he hurt Jiří Procházka in that fight. And, I mean, Procházka's a wild man for sitting in there and knocking out Volkan because Volkan's proven to have real power. Ankalaev, though, more well-rounded. I'm picking well-roundedness here. He gets the victory. Let's keep on moving up the card. Jingliang versus Khamzat Chimaev. Talking about spoiling us. This card is fantastic. In this fight, I got Khamzat. I'm on Team Khamzat. I feel like I'm one of the people that discovered Khamzat before he became the guy that he's known as today. I mean, he wasn't popular when I first started watching him. I heard about him, and this guy was, I think, the next big thing. I'm still on that train. He's an absolute destroyer. Excellent kickboxing game. Wrestling is off the charts. He has legit knockout power. I mean, if you look at him sparring Gustafsson, he dropped him, which that's a factor, body shot, but still dropping high-level strikers that are up 2 weight classes, 3 weight classes from you. This man's an animal. He's not like most, and his grappling skill is absolutely a legitimate submission game. On the opposite side, Leach, explosive striker, a fast striker, a guy that's fun to watch. He mixes it up well with his stand-up game, uses that lead hand as a rangefinder well, nasty, like looping overhand hook he knocked out Ponzinibbio with. But you look at when this fight gets to the floor, I don't think he has anything for Khamzat. Even striking, I think he's going to struggle with Khamzat as well. I got Khamzat Chimaev, KO, TKO, round number 2, and I'm expecting ground and pound, but expect the unexpected with Khamzat. He's a special fighter, and I really see that championship potential in him. Looking at the odds, huge. Minus 350, plus 415. Give me that minus 350 Khamzat all day long. Khamzat Chimaev, he gets it done over Leach. Let's keep on moving up. Alexander Volkov and Marcin Tybura. Kind of a meh fight. It's not a bad fight, but stylistically, I don't think it matches up to be an entertaining one. I got Volkov. Looking at the actual fight, You see Marcin Tybura, he's got a real forward pressure grappling style. He'll put you against the cage, but he's also one of those guys, which, I mean, he'll hold you against the cage for 3 rounds if he can. Volkov, going to have a serious height advantage here. He's got 4 inches on him, also has reach advantage at 3 inches. Volkov's kickboxing game is better. I see him picking apart Tybura from range, but there definitely will be moments that Tybura gets inside and clinches up. The size of Volkov's a factor. I don't see Tybura getting him to the floor, putting him on his back, getting off any kind of ground and pound from there. I think it's going to be Volkov winning by decision in this heavyweight matchup between 2 guys that are like right near the top, but just not there just at this moment. I mean, Volkov's lost to the top guys, truly. I think that Volkov, though, has more contendership potential. He gets the win. I see him beating Marcin Tybura by a decision and rangy kickboxing style for sure for him here. Now, looking at the betting lines, minus 275, plus 265, so the lines would agree. And yeah, I think Volkov, different level here, though Tybura's on a great streak and he's looked better than he's ever looked. I just don't think he's ready for Volkov. There's a little bit of a level difference in this matchup. Now, the featured bout of the night, Islam Makhachev versus Dan the Hangman Hooker. What a damn fight. I have Islam winning this fight, but it's not that Dan Hooker doesn't have at least something to bring to the table. He's got excellent kickboxing. He fights competently and comfortably out of both stances. Nice low kicks. He's got good straight punches. He feints well. And honestly, he starts fast. He's going to start. He has to start fast. The wrestling game's improved tenfold. On the opposite side, though, Makhachev is on like that next level of wrestling. He's not Khabib, though. Like, let's not say that he's the next guaranteed champion. Like, I think he's going to beat a lot of guys, but he doesn't have that same control as Khabib. He doesn't have that same physical strength as Khabib. But what he does have is the work ethic and the similar style to Khabib. And I mean, they're from the same location. They're from the same place. Both Dagestanis, they're boys, very good friends. And you can see the influence Khabib has on Islam. I think Islam will put a high work rate with the grappling, lots of clinching, some takedowns. From range, I don't think Islam gets absolutely destroyed, though. In straight striking, Hooker is superior. I got Islam by a decision. I think he wins this bout against Dan the Hangman Hooker. Yeah, I like decision here for this matchup. Looking at the odds, though, super widespread, minus 550, plus 500. They should be closer for sure. I would love to see them at minus 300, minus 275, but Islam Makhachev is going to be a crazy favorite. Everybody in his home country is probably throwing the house on a bet for him. So I think him getting it done, highly likely here against the Hangman Dan Hooker. And non-optimal training camp as well for Dan Hooker, which is something we have to bring up, which could potentially get him finished. Let's jump to the co-main event. Petr Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. I have to ride with Petr Yan here. He's been training for a championship fight. He's not coming off a battle, 3 months ago. I mean, yeah, it's 3 months, but that's 3 months ago, and he was jumping in training camp, like I believe 6 weeks ago. Not going to be fully prepared, I think, to the most optimal, but Sandhagen's going to be ready to go. Sandhagen's an excellent striker. It's just a really hard matchup. That's why I think Yan superior with the boxing game. He's got faster hands. Wrestling is going to be a problem. I feel like Petr Yan will mix in wrestling. I think that's going to be a factor here to win him the fight. Sandhagen's not an easy guy to get to the floor, but Yan's explosiveness with his striking can set up better level changes, trips, and whatnot than TJ Dillashaw. Because if you look at Dillashaw's striking, there was a clear difference that Sandhagen was superior. Petr Yan is a guy that should be comfortable striking with Sandhagen, though the range is a real factor, right? We got 4 inches in height, 3 inches in reach. Yan will find a way inside. Especially in the clinch, he's going to have a real strength advantage. Look for some potential throws. He'll work some ground and pound. I do think he'll set up a submission in the 4th round. So I'm going Petr Yan, 4th round submission over Corey Sandhagen to now win the interim belt and then hopefully set up this much-needed rematch with Aljamain Sterling. Truly, though, for Corey Sandhagen, you got to feel like you're fighting the world champion. You're fighting the best guy in the bantamweight division because Petr Yan was on his way to winning that fight before Aljo unfortunately could not continue. Petr Yan for the win. He beat Sandhagen, and let's look at the odds. Minus 235, plus 216. Everybody's on Yan, and as am I here. He gets it done. Main event of the evening. Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira. I have Jan. You can't pick against a guy who's on a tear like this against the guys he's beating. But on the opposite side, Glover Teixeira is destroying everybody you put in front of him. Granted, being tested in some of the fights, he's still getting finishes time in and time out. Thiago Santos, though, beating Thiago Santos at this point doesn't have that same impression. And let's be honest, Glover was hurt. He was hurt. The stand-up game of Thiago was giving him real problems. Is Jan not going to give him real issues striking? Kickboxing-wise, Jan is more technical. He's faster. The younger guy, not by a ton, 4 years, but he's still I guess 3.5, but he's still the younger guy between the two. The kicking game is better. Watch for body kicks from Jan Blachowicz. The boxing skill set of Glover is always dangerous. If he lands a big shot, he can hurt anyone. Don't be shocked when Jan mixes in some takedowns. I do think he'll maybe surprise us with a bit more of the grappling here, making Glover think. But I do think striking will be the primary goal, and I think he'll put away Glover Teixeira in the 3rd round in what should be a damn good fight. Like, I really feel like this is absolute fantastic fight, but doesn't have the hype. You know why they're not putting it on pay-per-view. I guess it's also earlier in the day. But, you know, I think Jan is still getting his due respect as champion. He's looked fantastic, though. We can't deny this guy. Beats Israel Adesanya, which is a huge win, too. And I think he's going to beat Glover Teixeira here, secure his respect, I think, truly now. I mean, he is the real champion. Glover is a damn good challenger, but he is 42. And, I mean, a loss to Glover here for Jan wouldn't be good. I mean, losing the title and then losing to a 42-year-old, not a good look for your legacy. But Glover Teixeira should bring the fight for sure, but I think it's unlikely that he gets a win. Jan Blachowicz, KO, TKO, round number 3. Let's look at the odds, though. Minus 285, minus 300, plus 260 at best value for Glover. You got to go Jan all day here. I think a bet wouldn't be terrible on him either. He should beat the 42-year-old Glover Teixeira, outstriking him, potentially out-wrestling him as well, which has always been a potential, not really hard hole in the game, but the better wrestlers can get him down. Jan, not necessarily a better wrestler, but I do think in the clinch he could be a problem for Glover, and he's improved his game tenfold. Jan Blachowicz for the win. He's going to beat Glover Teixeira. Overall, damn good card. If you guys haven't yet, smash the hell out of that like button. I hope you guys enjoyed this UFC 267 full card breakdown. Keep it locked in. We got the weigh-in recap show, of course. I have predictions coming out for Contender Series and PFL. So lots of things this week, and this week's Best MMA Bets, of course. Make sure to tune into that, the deepest diving betting show for mixed martial arts on the internet. Thank you all so much. Much love. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Let's get that 200 plus likes, baby. Much love, my people. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace, guys.